Hey, welcome. So think about all the screens we're surrounded by every day, in cafes, lobbies, stores, you name it. But have you ever really stopped to think about which ones actually grab your attention and which ones don't? Today, we're diving into the digital signage revolution. We're going to look at how businesses are turning these simple, passive displays into seriously powerful tools that can drive sales, make things run smoother, and totally reshape the customer experience.
But first, let's get real about the problem. Businesses spend thousands of dollars on these beautiful, high-def screens, and yet, most of the time, we just walk right past them, don't we? They end up becoming just expensive, digital wallpaper, nothing more than background noise in a world that's already super crowded. This quote from Crown TV, it just hits the nail on the head. The real challenge isn't about just having a screen, it's about making people actually stop and pay attention to it. Because if you don't, that huge gap between what you spent and the impact you're getting, well, that's just a massive waste of money. To really get why this matters, let's just think about the old-school alternative for a second. You've got your static, printed signs. They're slow to update, they cost a ton to reprint and replace, and honestly, they're completely passive. Digital signage just flips that whole script. Updates, they happen in an instant. The cost is operational, and the most important part, it can be interactive, it can be dynamic, and it can engage customers in a way that a piece of paper never ever could. Okay, so how do you get people to actually stop and look? Well, the secret isn't just in the technology. It's actually in our own biology. It turns out that really effective digital signage works because it taps right into the fundamental way our brains are wired to see the world around us.
So let's get a little bit sciencey for a second with this term, saccades. These are the super fast, kind of jerky movements our eyes make. We're talking 3 to 4 times a second to build a mental picture of what's in front of us. Our brains are literally hardwired to go looking for rich visual information, and nothing, and I mean nothing, triggers that hunt more than motion and change.
And right here is where that science gets super practical. Think about a static, printed menu. It's basically a single data point. Your brain scans it once, gets the info, and moves on. But dynamic content, a video, a little animation, a promotion that fades in and out, that forces our eyes to constantly re-engage. It captures and holds our attention in a way that plain old text just can't compete with anymore. Just take a look at this Starbucks menu. It's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Over on the left, you've got the main menu, all the essential information. But check out the right side. That's a dynamic screen showing off those high-margin seasonal drinks. Your eyes are just naturally pulled to the motion, and it guides your buying decision exactly where the business wants it to go. Pretty smart, right? But here's the thing. This strategy isn't just about selling more lattes. When you use these screens the right way, they can pretty much transform almost every part of a business, from what the customer sees at the counter all the way to the employee break room.
Let's talk numbers for a second. Get this. Research shows that just by placing a digital sign promoting one specific item right there at the point of sale, you can increase its sales by a massive 38%. That is a direct, measurable return on your investment, just from making your content dynamic and relevant at the right moment.
And it's not even just about those direct sales. Think about the whole customer journey. Screens can make a long line feel way shorter by showing some entertainment. That can help you find your way around a huge store with interactive maps. They can build trust by showing live social media reviews. They can even tempt you with a promo for a cold drink that's automatically triggered just because it's a hot day outside.
And believe it or not, that same technology is just as powerful behind the scenes. In a restaurant kitchen, these display systems can streamline orders and slash the number of mistakes. In the back office, screens can deliver quick training snippets, show live performance dashboards, or get critical safety info out there way more effectively than some email that's just going to get buried anyway.
So when you look at a scene like this cafe, those digital menus are actually doing a bunch of jobs at once. They're setting a cool, modern vibe, they're pushing the daily specials, and hey, if the kitchen suddenly runs out of avocados, that item can disappear from the menu in seconds, across every single screen in every single location. Now you might be thinking, all this sounds incredibly complicated to set up. But honestly, the tech that powers these smart screens is surprisingly straightforward. It really all comes down to scheduling, and it boils down to a really simple, automated process.
Seriously, it's really just 3 steps. First, you create a playlist of your content, your images, videos, ads, whatever. Second, you assign that playlist to the specific screens you want. And third, you just set the schedule. You tell the system exactly when you want that content to play. And that's it, you're done.
And that scheduling ability unlocks this really powerful technique called day parting.
So Cafe can automatically show its breakfast menu in the morning, then have it switch to lunch specials midday, and then later on feature happy hour promotions in the evening. The screen is always showing something that's perfectly relevant to that time of day, all without anyone having to lift a finger.
Okay, so does all this theory and cool tech actually work in the real world? Well, the answer is a definite yes. Major brands have been putting these strategies to the test for a while now, and the numbers they're seeing are seriously impressive. So after Wendy's made the switch to dynamic, animated menu boards, they reported a 30% jump in beverage sales. That's the power of using a little bit of motion to draw the eye and, create those cravings.
And look at this. McDonald's found that by using digital displays to confirm orders back to the customer in the drive-thru, they increased their order accuracy by 15%. I mean, that improves customer satisfaction and it reduces costly waste. It's a clear operational win.
When you look at all the data together, it becomes so clear that the impact is widespread. Across the entire industry, digital signage is proven to lift sales, improve accuracy, and speed up service. It's not just one little improvement here or there, it's a full-on upgrade to the entire business model.
So, all of this brings us to the final and maybe the most crucial point. It's really time to stop thinking about screens as just pieces of hardware and to start asking, are they actually working for the business?
Because at the end of the day, digital signage isn't a product you just go out and buy. It's a strategic asset that you have to manage. You have to think of it as a living, breathing part of your company's communication infrastructure, just as vital as your website or your social media. It's your direct line to your customers and your staff at the most critical moments of decision. So the next time you see a screen in a store or a restaurant or an office, I want you to ask yourself this. Is it just more background noise, or is it actually telling a story? And maybe more importantly, what story are your screens telling?